fellow students would quickly go looking for them, thinking that maybe they had gorged out or they were about to. And when I came back, I was living in that summer on Buffalo Avenue, and when I came back, I moved into the Young Israel of Cornell, where Ed was president. Ed, after experiencing that presidency, I'm sure decided he was never going to be a president of a Jewish organization again, and succeeded. And it also was a place for me to kind of grow Jewishly and get to know Ed. And Ed is the brother that I never had. Brenda's my number 2 wife. I used to be number 3. I was the number 3 husband, but I moved up when Saul went the way of all flesh. But the interesting thing about our relationship, and this happened when I lived in Buffalo for many, many years. Ed would always not Japanese. Chinese and Japanese are very far apart linguistically. But well, no, the written language is similar. But we're not going to go into that now. But, so what happened was, Ed would always periodically call me, find out how I'm doing. I learned very quickly that he had too much going on for me to call him, you know. I'd wait for him to call me, and then when I finally departed from Buffalo and moved down here, the natural place for me to come to was great. And it worked out for me on many, many levels. And so and I forgot, when I went to Japan on a fellowship that from the Japanese government, which is supposed to be very prestigious, but it never did anything for me particularly, but except they footed the bill. And that was a very good fellowship, but Ed actually came to Japan to visit. And he came to Kanazawa, and then we went to Tokyo.
On the bullet train.
On the bullet train. And we went to Tokyo. I said, Ed, you have a choice. We could sleep on the floor in my friend Pat Horvath's apartment. Pat had studied Japanese with me. Or we could go to the Okura Hotel across the street from the embassy. But I'm not going to pay for it. So when Ed opted for the Okura Hotel,
no kidding.
I knew there was promise. I knew there was real and it was going to take Brenda to fully exploit. So
you caught me by surprise.
It was worth every yen of it. So now that they're going, they're leaving Great Neck. But to me, it's just the continuing, ongoing part of the story. When they said they were moving to Jerusalem, I wasn't surprised. I didn't object. I didn't say. I always knew that this was their direction. And so all I could say is, say Tzchem L'Shalom, and when you're friends, you always stay connected. And now that you got this telephone thing,
the what?
Friends or not, Ed and Miles and I moved into Strathmore within a couple of months of each other, over 40 years ago. Jamie was a year old, I was pregnant with Zach, and Brenda was pregnant with Alyssa and Michelle, although I don't think you knew they were twins at that point. Everything was good. Even we moved in with 2 Cocker Spaniels. So boy did we luck out to find out Ed Parver lived across the street. And we knew this relationship was going to be a share. It was bound to be. However, there was a short period in time, which many of you have heard this story, where I wasn't so sure this was going to be our neighborhood. Miss Brenda. About 6 months after we moved in, Brenda and Ed were kind enough to host our first New Year's Eve party. We were a very small group then. I think it was Susan, Magda, and Carol and Stephen. I think that was it, right? You and me. It was the beginning of the Mahjong group, I guess, but at that point it was small. And the conversation was, is this kosher? Is that kosher? I don't know about the kashrut in this place. I don't know about the kashrut in that person's house or this. And I looked at Miles and I got a little nervous. Well, then they started talking about the mitzvah. I said, oh boy, Howie, I'm in the right place. Well, Susan was the mitzvah lady. So it made sense that they were discussing the mitzvah. Okay, it was a nice enough evening. I'm sure we talked about lots of other things, but I don't remember anything else but that. That's what I remember from that evening. And when we left and walked across the street, I turned to Miles and said, we're in the wrong community. This is not going to be for us. But we said, let's give it a chance. We'll join the shul, we'll give it a chance. And we stayed, and it turned out to be a great decision and a wonderful place to be. The Parvers are the family we don't have. Their kids are our kids, and our kids are their kids. We even consider Brenda's siblings and Ed's siblings our siblings as well. There was always an open door policy, and the kids always knew they could go back and forth whenever they wanted. Their kids knew that Wednesday night was Hunan night in our house. Pre-chosen, this was Hunan. And Brenda's kids knew that Wednesday night was Hunan night in our house. And it never failed for them to show up and enjoy the chicken and broccoli. Then there was the night that Zachary came home on a Thursday night and said to me, what's for dinner? And I said, French toast. And he said, French toast's not dinner. I said, well, that's what's for dinner tonight. He said, I'm going to Brenda. Right? And he quickly ran across the street to Brenda, but he was back in about 5 minutes. And I said, what happened? What's Brenda serving? And he said, Cheerios.
She ever hear of breakfast for supper?
Yes. So I can just tell you that it was very hard for us when Brent Brunette left Strathmore for Kensington Gate. But this move to Israel, I lost my page. I lost a page, but I'll try it again. But this move to Israel for us works. Since we're hoping in the not too near future to move and be with our kids that are there now, it's kind of nice to know that Brenda and Ed will be there as well. It's comforting to know that they will be there and be our neighbors again. So to us, this is not goodbye. This is shalom. See you in Israel, and all the best to you always.
I was inspired listening to this about the religiosity. So Brenda, when she knew now that she had twins, and Ed came up to visit me in Buffalo. So naturally, for Shabbos, on Sunday, we went to Niagara Falls. And in those days, getting into Canada was like going over the 59th Street Bridge. You didn't have to, it was very simple. And we went on the Maid of the Mist. And we were they give you those raincoats. And I looked down at Ed's feet, and he was wearing shoes. I had told him I discovered this shoe store in New York, Church English shoes, that I thought were very nice shoes. And Ed got a pair of church shoes also. And I looked at him and I said, Ed, why are you wearing your church shoes on the Maid of the Mist? And I gave him mussar for wearing his shoes. And when Ed gets off the Maid of the Mist, he said to me, You didn't see, but behind you, there was this guy, and he was smiling because he thought you were wearing your best church clothes onto the Maid of the Mist. And you should.
It was a Sunday.
That's really it. It was just so-
One of my things about Breakneck, though, and I think it still holds, was with the North Shore Hebrew Academy when they had, I don't remember the gradations, what grades were where, but in the Cherry Lane building, when it first opened up, so we had 4 kids in that building for 2 years in a row. And I think that's still a record. I don't know, I don't think that record has.
No, Gersten.
Gersten has one?
Yeah, probably.
Did she find something?
It's okay, you can share the time.
Well, we only have 4 kids.
Because I think that it only went up to 5th grade.
No, it only went up to 3rd grade.
3rd grade?
In the beginning, yeah. Now it goes up to 5th.
Started, Oatmeal
Then,
started
yeah,
in 4th grade.
4th grade. Oh, it doesn't matter, you had them all together.
One year ahead with this. But we had it 2 years ago.
Thank you again.
That 11th.